So module 6 of our syllabus consists of gears and gear trains. So I have covered gears in the previous section. Now we will be looking at gear trains. Okay. So in this video I will be just giving you an overall overview of the entire module, after which we will solve different sums, look at the various methods to solve these sums and all that. Before going on to a gear train, we will just define a gear. So you basically know by now what a gear is, but still a gear is just like a rotating wheel. Okay, we have seen our normal wheels, but whenever two wheels are touched to each other, the rotation of one wheel will cause the other wheel to rotate. But the wheels rotate because of the friction between the two wheels. So as the velocity of the wheels goes on increasing, there are chances that there might be a slipping between the two wheels because of the reduced friction. Hence, we have gears. Gears are basically toothed wheels. Okay, they are wheels which have tooth on them. So these teeth align with each other, these teeth push each other, and we get perfect rotational motion with no slipping. Okay, so a gear train is basically a system of gears arranged one after the other. Means a large number of gears are arranged in a particular manner, and this system is known as a gear train. Gear train basically does one important thing. There is a driver shaft, which is the initial shaft. Your motor is connected to your driver shaft. You have to transmit the power from your driver shaft to the final driven shaft. There might be one driven shaft or there might be multiple driven shafts, as you will see in just a minute. But generally there is only one driver shaft, and the power from this driver shaft is given to several different driven shafts through the gear train. Okay, so gear train is used to transmit the power, just as I said, from driver shaft to the driven shafts, and by adjusting the teeth on the gears of the gear train, we can control the torque and the RPM that can be transmitted. For example, in our automobiles we have a gearbox. That gearbox is basically used to perform this same function. At lower gears, the torque is high and the RPM is low, and at higher gears the torque is low and the RPM is high. That is why gear trains are used. Okay, some of the most earliest examples of gear trains were your watches. This is a handheld watch. As you can see, there are a large number of gears inside this. Okay, in the olden days, what was the main thing that was to be done? The main thing was you had to wound. There was an inner spring here. This spring was wound using manual force. Okay, and as this spring got desprung, it started expanding. It used to rotate the various gears. The rotation of these various gears is used to move these hands. Okay, hands of the clock. So there is a knob over here. We use that knob to tighten this spring. The mechanical energy of tightening of the spring is stored inside the spring, and as the potential energy stored gets slowly converted into kinetic energy, these various gears rotate, and because of the rotation of these various gears we get the motion of these arms. So this is a very small example. For example, this kind of a watch will fit in your palm of hand. Okay, but this example is that of Big Ben. Big Ben is a big clock which is present in London. Okay, so you can see the size of the gears that are used to drive this entire watch. Okay, this is another shot of the same internal working of the Big Ben. So in these photos also we see these big gears. Though they are very big, they are performing the same function that was performed by these gears. They are used to transmit the power, and they are used to transmit the RPM from the driving shaft to the driven shafts, which are the hands of the clock. Another example which we commonly see is in automobiles. In automobile engines, there is only one main shaft. For example, over here, this is the main shaft which is coming out of the engine. This is your crankshaft. The power from this crankshaft is given to different parts of the engine through these mating gears. For example, you might need power to run the oil pump. You might need power to run the coolant. So where does this power come from? This power comes from the crankshaft itself. So these gears are used to take this power from the crankshaft to run the various parts of the engine. Similarly, this is the last example that I will be showing you. This is actually, these are called bevel gears. So these bevel gears are on a steam engine. The steam engine's power is converted into kinetic energy, rotation of the wheels, using these bevel gears. So these are some examples of gear trains used in day-to-day life. So what are the different types of gears? There are several different types of gear trains which are present, but for our syllabus we will be focusing only on these four main types of gear trains. These are the simple gear train, the compound gear train, reverted gear train, and epicyclic gear train. Out of this epicyclic gear train is the most commonly asked question in your exam. These three gear trains are generally never asked, but the epicyclic gear train is always asked in your exam for generally 8 to 10 marks. So what is a simple gear train? As the name suggests, a simple gear train is very simple. It consists of one driving shaft and one driven shaft. So basically there might be a motor or engine connected over here. Now you have to transmit power from this position to this position. So how are you going to transmit the power from this shaft to this shaft? Well, you can put in intermediate gears. See, these are the intermediate gears. As this shaft rotates, this gear rotates. Because of the rotation of this gear will start rotating. Again, this gear will start rotating, and finally the power will be transmitted to the driven gear. You can see a simple gear train in this video. See, as this is rotating in clockwise direction, this is rotating in anti-clockwise direction. Again, this is rotating in clockwise direction, and the final gear is rotating in anti-clockwise direction. You can see another point. See, the smaller the gear, the faster it rotates. And as the size of the gear goes on increasing, the speed of rotation goes on decreasing. This is a very important point that you must note. The smaller the gear in a gear train, the faster it will rotate. The larger the gear in the gear train, the slower it will rotate. The next type of gear train that we will be seeing is a compound gear train. A compound gear train is similar to a simple gear train, except for the fact that in simple gear train, see, each shaft has only one gear, right? Each shaft has only one gear. In compound gear train, there are some shafts which have more than one gear. For example, see this one. The gears 2 and 3 are present on the same shaft. As they are present on the same shaft, they will have the same RPM. Because they are present on the same shaft, they have to rotate with the shaft. As they have to rotate with the shaft, they will have the same RPM. That is, they will have the same angular velocity, and they will also rotate in the same direction. Okay, so these are known as compounded gears. The gears which are on the same shaft are known as compounded gears. In this example, we have two pairs of compound gear train. The 2-3 are also compounded and 4-5 are also compounded. So the third type of gear train that we will be seeing, and this is the gear train that is actually used in your automobile gearboxes. It is much more complicated. This is just a simple explanation of a reverted gear train, but this is the basic logic behind the gearbox that is used in your automobiles. So in a reverted gear train is a special case of a compound gear train. What was a compound gear train? A compound gear train was one which had more than one gear on the same axis, on the same shaft. See, in reverted gear train, you can see this shaft. This shaft has two gears on it. What is the special thing about a reverted gear train? A reverted gear train is a kind of compound gear train in which the driving shaft and the driven shaft are on the same axis. See, for example, in this scenario, see, 1 is your driving shaft and 4 is your driven shaft. So they are both on the same axis. 1 is rotating, because of 1, 2 is rotating. As 2 is rotating, 2 and 3 are on the same shaft, so 3 also rotates. And because of rotation of 3, 4 starts rotating. Thus, motion is transmitted from the driving shaft to the driven shaft through this compound shaft. So a reverted gear train is a special case of compound gear train in which driving shaft and driven shaft are on the same axis. Here you can see the example of a reverted gear train. See, imagine that this is your driving gear. It is rotating at a slow velocity. it is transmitting its motion to this gear. Because this gear and this gear are compounded together, they are both rotating at the same RPM. See, they are both rotating at the same RPM. Even though it might look different because of the size, but they are rotating at the same RPM. So motion is transmitted from this gear to this gear because they are on the same shaft. They are rotating at the same RPM, and this is transmitting speed to this. Thus, in reverted gear train, you are able to transmit. See, this is rotating at very low RPM and this is rotating at very high RPM. Thus, if you want to achieve very high RPM in a small space, you always use a reverted gear train. That is why we use a reverted gear train in automobiles, because they allow us to change the RPM very rapidly in a very small space. And the final and most important gear train that we will be looking at is the epicyclic gear train. All the gear trains that we saw until now, in all these cases, see, in this, in all these cases, the gears and the shaft on which the gear was placed were stationary. These shafts were not able to move. They were only able to rotate. So in normal gears, in the simple compound and reverted gear trains, the shafts are not able to move in XY axis. They are only able to rotate. But in epicyclic gear train, there are some gears whose axis itself is able to move. See, for example, this. In this, your gear 2 axis is fixed. Gear 2 will only rotate about this fixed axis. But look at gear 3. Gear 3 is going to rotate like this, and at the same time this arm is also going to move. So the axis about which the gear 3 is rotating is also going to change. So this always reminds you kind of your sun and planets. So this is your sun, which is rotating on its own axis. These are your planets, for example Earth, which is rotating about its own axis, and at the same time it is revolving around the sun also. That is why this central gear is known as sun gear, and these gears are known as planet gears. And the final outer gear inside which this planet gear rotates is known as the annular gear. The annular gear has teeth on the inside. We will see a video to understand this better. See, this is an example of your epicyclic gear train. See, here is your sun gear, this is your planet gear, and this is your external annular gear. The sun gear is inside. At present, we have kept the sun gear constant. We have kept the RPM of sun gear 0. It is not necessary that it will always be 0. It can be varied. In this example, we have kept the RPM as 0. So this is your sun gear, yellow color. This is your planet gear. The planet gear is rotating about itself also and revolving around the sun. And the external one is your annular gear. Blue color one is your annular gear. So this is your epicyclic gear. And the sun gear and planet gear are connected by an arm. So an epicyclic gear train has 4 main things. Each epicyclic gear generally always has all these 4 things. These are the sun gear, which rotates at the center, the planet gears which revolve around the sun gear. There is an arm which connects the sun gear to the planet gear, and there is an annular gear. An annular gear has internal teeth. All the others have external teeth, whereas the annular gear has internal teeth. So with this I will conclude today's video, because in this we just saw an overlook of what is a gear train, what are the practical applications of gear trains. For example, a gear train is just something which is an arrangement of different gears which is used to transmit power from one shaft to another. We saw these different examples of gear trains. So gear trains can be as small as something within your pocket to something as big as buildings itself. They are found in engines, they are found in steam trains, they are found in clocks, they are found everywhere. There are 4 types of gear trains: simple, compound, reverted and epicyclic. So in simple, each shaft has only one gear. In compound, one shaft can have more than one gear. Reverted is a special case of compound gear, and epicyclic gear train consists of 4 things: sun gear, planet gear, arm and annular gear. In the next video, we will be seeing the important terms related to gears.